Okay, this is the highlighting portion of NOCTI. You are going to do 3 slicing and 3 weaving foils when you do your NOCTI practical. So 3 slicing, 3 weaving. For the practice, you are going to need 10 to 15 foil sheets. They're right here, and they look like just pieces of aluminum foil, but they're a foil sheet. You'll use 10 to 15 to start. If you need more, you can get more. I don't want to waste them, okay? We are going to do a 4-section block in the head. So you're going to need a sectioning comb, you're going to need 5 to 6 butterfly clips because you want to make sure you're controlling the hair. You're going to need a bowl and color brush. And you're going to need cholesterol, not gel. We're using cholesterol. You will do a 2-towel chemical drape on your client, which is the towel first, then your cape, then the towel. You'll take your towel, instead of folding it, because I saw a couple people trying to fold them, it doesn't go around the client's neck if it's shorter. So you can either take it like this and just wrap it, and then you'll connect it with your butterfly clip in front by the client's neck. Or you can do where you take it in half and you make it look like how you would fold a napkin, okay? I always do this in case they have long hair. That way the hair is protected as well. Anytime you do a chemical service, you want a 2-towel drape. It's extremely important to do the 2-towel drape. Okay? Does anybody have any questions on the supplies that you need? No? Okay. You are going to take your mannequin with your standard comb and you're going to do your 4-section block. So you want to make sure it's behind the ear. And you want to make sure your partings are nice and clean. Partings are super important, especially with highlights. Has anybody ever had highlights done where they've gotten marks on their scalp or one's been further out than the other? That's all about placement with your foils. So it's really important to make sure that your partings and your placement are really, really clean. Okay, so I have my 2 here. All right, now we're gonna do right down the middle to give us our 4. Gonna start right up at the top and I'm gonna go straight down, making sure that this part is nice and clean and even on both sides. Can you grab me another butterfly clip since I just dropped that one? Thank you. This parting is really important too, to make sure you're even on both sides as well, because you want to make sure that your foils, thank you. You want to make sure that your foils are going to be able to fit across the head. Your occipital area is the widest part of your head. So you might have to do 2 foils in that area. I cannot stress to you, partings are super, super, super important. Now, once your hair is done, you can look and see if one side's bigger than the other, okay? If it's not, then you'll just drop down. What section size do you think we're gonna take? 1/4 inch. Seems to be what we usually do, huh? So on both sides, I'm gonna leave a 1/4 inch parting out, okay? Now my towel fell a little bit, so I want to make sure that I re-clip it so that it doesn't fall off the client. You always want to make sure you're protecting your client through every service. Now the cholesterol is extremely thick, which is nice. It's going to hold the hair as soon as you put it on that foil. So our left side, which is right here, we're gonna do weave foils, okay? So I'm gonna show you what you're gonna do. Left side is gonna be weaving for now, because you're gonna do one side all weaving, one side all slicing, so that you get in the habit of holding those foils and placing them in. I always start at the bottom and I work my way to the front. The reason I do that is because if I'm doing a full head foil, if these foils are ready and already processed before I get to the front, I can rinse these out and still let the front process. If you start in the front, it's a lot harder to get those rinsed out while your back is processing still. So I always start in the back. However, when you do your NOCTI, you're gonna be sectioned here even more, and you're only gonna do it on the bottom part. We are doing extra for practice. So when we take our foils, we have our 1/4 inch parting here. This is our section. I'm going to take and go in and just bring a small section of that piece up. Do you see that little section that I took? Straight across. Okay? So now what I'm gonna do, now that I have part of this section, I'm going to weave the hair. So I'm going to take my comb, and it's like you're going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Okay, so you're gonna make sure you take the same amount though. So you're gonna go up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And then you're gonna drop these pieces and you're gonna hold this section. Now, if you look, your foil's here. I'm taking my foil and I'm folding it over my comb, okay? So my rat tail, my metal part of my comb is inside that foil, okay? Can everybody see? I'm lifting this section up and I'm going directly against the scalp and I'm holding this section of hair down. And I pull my comb out. Do you see that foil is still up against that scalp? When you're using lightener, a lot of times it will slow. So you want to just place it right below your hairline, and then you're going to grab both sides of that foil to make sure it doesn't move. And you're going to saturate that hair with the cholesterol. You want to make sure it's nice and saturated. And then you just kind of like feather it up towards the scalp. So do you see how my foil didn't move? It's still attached. Okay? Now, everybody does this section, this part different. I teach different. Mrs. Rozicki teaches her foils different. Miss S does her foils different. As long as you get the same outcome, it doesn't matter. I don't overfold my foils, because if you overfold, there's a better chance that you're gonna spread that product out and you're gonna get tiger stripes, which are the little lines that are in only on certain parts of the hair strand, okay? So it's really important. I take my foil and I fold it in half, and then I press and fold it again. So I go in half, and then I go side, use my foiling comb, side. That foil's in place. So I fold it up, and then side, side, and it's closed. Okay? Can you girls see? Now, same thing. I'm gonna take my next section of hair, and I'm gonna drop that 1/4 inch parting. And another reason you wanna make sure that your hair partings are nice and clean is you don't wanna over direct that hair. And when you're moving, you don't wanna pull from another foil, because that's gonna get lightener onto the hair. For NOCTI purposes, we are just learning the mechanics of foiling by a weave and a slice, okay? This is not an in-depth highlighting video. This is just showing you how to prep for the NOCTI portion of the highlighting. So here's my section. Again, I'm gonna take a section out of that, dropping that bottom section down, so I'm only holding this part of that section, okay? And then I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna go up and down, up and down, up and down. So I'm gonna go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Grabbing that hair on the top of my comb, I'm releasing that bottom portion of hair, and I'm holding that section. This is the section that I'm going to put into the foil. If you have trouble with your foil staying, you can actually hold this and you can pre-product your foil. It's an extra step if you want to, but you don't have to, and that just helps the hair. I go right up to the scalp, the hair is lifted up so I can get right up to that scalp, and then I'm pressing down, removing my comb and my hair. Do you see how it's already sticking to that foil? It's already on there. So holding that foil in place, I go up and I just make sure it's completely saturated. Saturation is key when you're doing foils. If you don't have enough product on that hair, you won't get an even lift. So you want to make sure it's nice and saturated. And then you feather it up towards the top. And then again, I'm going to fold it in half, making sure that it matches the top. So I have this here, and then I'll take my comb and I'll place it, and I'll place it over here, and I'll fold that foil in. Sometimes I just fold it a little bit tighter with my fingers just to make sure that there's not going to be any sliding. Okay? So we have 2 weaves in here. We're going to do this the whole way up. Again, dropping that section. Why do we start from the back?
Because it develops faster.
If it develops faster, you guys are going to be slower at doing highlights. So you know, and you never want to use 40 volume. I've owned my salon for almost 13 years. I've worked in this industry for almost 27. I've never stocked or purchased 40 volume.
Isn't it too strong?
The higher the volume, the more damage it does to that cuticle. Low and slow is always a game changer. Now, if you have a high lift color, you can use double 20 volume. There's different things that you can do. There are some high lift colors that require 40 volume. I usually don't use high lift. You ready? What do I do now? Somebody raise their hand. Divide it in half. So I take that section, I drop this section down. What do I do with this part?
Up and down.
Up and down. So we're gonna go up, down. Do you see how I'm moving that hair out of the way? Can you girls see how I moved the hair out of the way? Or was I standing in your way?
You were standing in the way.
Okay, so let me do it this way. Do you see how I go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down? And then I have my section right here. And I drop that bottom part, and this is the part that's gonna go in my foil. Okay? So this is that weave out of that section, okay? Gonna take my foil. If you don't wanna put it where the lip is, some people just slide it right under that pre-made lip. Sometimes you can just fold, if you want a bigger section, you can just fold that right down over your rat tail comb. And then you're gonna slide this under by the scalp, making sure that you don't lose tension on that. And you're just gonna go in and make sure you put product on the hair and taking it down to the ends. As soon as you let go, you wanna grab those corners of the foil to make sure that foil doesn't slip. You can lift it up a little bit and feather it in if you need to. But saturation is key. Again, you're gonna fold the foil in half. Then you'll section side, take your side, and your foils are done. And you can lift them up and they're not gonna move. Your foils won't move, okay? They're nice and clean, ready to go. Do you want me to do the whole rest of this side, or do you want me to show you slicing?
Slicing.
Okay, so this is your weaving side, so your left back is where you're gonna put your weaves. Your right back is your slicing. Again, I'm gonna take a 1/4 inch section of my hair out. I'm clipping this hair out of my way because you clip for control. I'm taking it, and instead of weaving this section, I've already sliced it. I taught you how to slice when you were weaving. You literally take your 1/4 inch section and you take a straight part across. That's a slice. You don't weave anything out of it. It's just a section. I wouldn't take half. You want to make sure it's a nice straight part. I would say maybe a little under half, because if you take a bigger section, that might, yeah, and you want to make sure for slicing, you want to make sure that you saturate enough product on that hair. There's no weaving at all. You just section that straight across. Same thing, you put your foil in, comb comes out, holding it, you put your product on, and you want to make sure that you saturate that whole section. Do you see how it's completely saturated from scalp to ends? Can you guys see? Scalp to ends, completely saturated. That foil's not moving. Then you're gonna go up. You're gonna fold it in half. Okay, that's your first slice. Doing the same thing again, taking a 1/4 inch parting. Why do we take small partings? What's the importance of that? What? So it's even, and to make sure the product gets saturated on both sides of the hair. If you take too big of sections, it's not gonna get through to the other side. Okay? See how I'm lifting that hair up a little bit so that I can get this right up against that scalp? It is extremely important to make sure it's right up against that scalp. Then you're gonna take your product. I start maybe a 1/4 inch below, and then I work it down, saturating it. I fold it so that I can make sure all of that hair is saturated. You can go left to right, top and bottom. And then I just feather it up at the top. Doing the same thing again. If you don't want to fold it with your comb, you can fold it with your fingers like that. I did the same thing. I just folded it. They're not going to move. And you can move these up and they're right at the scalp. Placement is super, super important. Your partings, your cleanliness, super important for this, okay? So I'm gonna have you guys continue this. Left side is your weaving, right side is your slicing. You guys are gonna do the entire head. And then Miss S and I will check them.
So not the front.
You're not gonna do the front, you're just gonna do the back. Yep, okay?
Finish that.